Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
And now, what you've been waiting for all show, our fourth and final, and some would say best segment called Talkin' Liberty, as we welcome back our regular contributor, constitutional lawyer, and LibertyNation.com legal affairs editor and podcast director. Did I miss anything, Scott Cosenza?
You hit the high marks in any case.
You hit the high?
Yeah.
That's good. On the CV.
That's right.
Curriculum vitae. I used it last week. I thought I'd do it again. A little insecure about whether people take me seriously, so I drop in words
ex
like
post
that.
facto earlier this week.
Excellent.
Indeed.
Excellent, counselor.
And it was appropriate in that instance as well.
Never more appropriate than now. This first story is fascinating because it's got so many elements to it, and it is in California where the governor has signed a law to allow NCAA, that means college athletes, to get paid. This was coming down the road for some time. We've been hearing about the possibility for years. Now the nation's biggest state has adopted it.
That's right. It's called the Fair Pay to Play Act. It won't go into effect, Tim, until 2023. But when it does go into effect, what it will do is provide a kind of host of measures that allow an athlete in California to capitalize on their likeness, their identity. So, for instance, LeBron James was quoted in reaction to this piece. He's made some news in discussing his support for the legislation. And he said he's famously, of course, a basketball player who went directly from high school to the pros and did not go into college. And he said, if he had gone to college, for instance, he would have been filling the center, the athletic center, every night to capacity in terms of the crowds that would have gone to pay to see him. Yeah. And everybody would have been able to get paid from that, especially including the university. But yet he and his mother, who were basically at the poverty line, where's their benefit from doing so? And so this will allow those people to actually sell their likeness and jerseys. And what it does, Tim, is it says that the mechanism for how it accomplishes this, it tells California universities that they are not permitted to declare ineligible athletes who do this. So typically what would happen is if an athlete was suspected of doing this, the NCAA might suspend them or direct their university to suspend them. And because the university is a signatory to the NCAA agreement, they're required to do so. So this is the legal mechanism that directs those university administrators. You will not touch an athlete who has done this, that they're acting legally now under California law.
I think it seems to me to be a just solution to the problem. They're not allowed to make money directly from the university for participating in athletic competition that draws thousands of fans and brings in millions of dollars, but to deny them the ability to then make money on the side means we're just advancing an outdated creed about college sports. Look, we all love it. We love the bands. We love the enthusiasm. Hell, I mean, I used to be a play-by-play announcer for college football and basketball. I loved it. I loved the Saturdays. I loved the spectacle, the bands, the whole thing. But let's be honest, these guys are essentially employees.
They are every bit of a pro athlete with the exception, Tim, of the compensation.
Exactly.
They have every obligation that a pro athlete does with respect to media and team obligations. And to expect that a person at the elite level, we're not talking, Tim, in terms of this payday stuff about a D3,
Division III
athlete who is not going to advance. We're talking about in terms of the elite who can really sell their image and likeness. And for those people.
But what about the hometown quarterback on a smaller program? Let's just say, let me pull one out of the air.
Sure.
Like Marshall University in West Virginia. It's kind of small, but it's significant.
You could do a local furniture store commercial.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of that for real.
And why
do you know
shouldn't he be able to? Because the university is benefiting from the labor of these athletes. They're cashing in on them, and all they get with this lousy college education, which...
Well, they can't actually attend. Excuse me, Tim. They cannot attend to their college education because everybody knows, and that's why I mentioned in terms of the elite, and it is true even for the local elite, that the reason why they're there is not to focus on sociology 101. It's not to learn the difference between the Tigris and the Euphrates. It's to play ball. It's to gain strength and speed. And that's why they I salute the notion that I actually think that it doesn't go nearly as far enough to break the back of the NCAA's stranglehold that governments have allowed. To be clear, if a private school wants to join this association and people want to go ahead and go to school there, I think that's appropriate. These are government schools, and it's supposed to actually encourage amateurism, which is the exact opposite of what we have here at those elite levels. There's no amateurism whatsoever.
The veil of amateurism was shattered so long ago that there's no point in even having to argue it out. Nobody would even argue that. So, look, I was involved in college sports for a long time. I saw what went on. I knew about the bags of cash that got carried around by coaches offering it to players who would never set foot on that university campus were it not for their God-given athletic ability. So, I mean, this sort of cuts through the hypocrisy of college sports. And you know what it does, Scott? It reignites the conversation that we've had for a long time, which is, what are the bounds of what college athletes should be allowed to do? Should they be allowed to be paid to play?
In most states, the highest paid government employee is the football coach at the big university
Absolutely.
In that state.
Yes.
It's all about money. It has nothing to do with anything other than that. And it's just gross and disgusting that often it's poor black kids, by the way, who are having to bear the brunt of this. They're the ones who are having a crust of bread and told, just keep working hard, kid, and enjoy your education, while I don't know, is it in the trillions? I don't know how many billions of dollars is spent on these enterprises, but it's a fantastic amount of money, and surely for the ones who actually are doing the work, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, they can see some green coming in as well.
All right, let's take this from a legal standpoint. How threatening is this decision in California to other state governments and ultimately to the NCAA? They're going to have a response to this. There's going to be legal challenges, all kinds of things. So where does it all stand?
We are at the dawn of all these challenges, Tim.
Right.
The NCAA has said they will challenge. Certainly they must, because this is an existential threat to their cartel, which is what they have. They have an iron fist like grip on athletic regulation, and they profit mightily from it. They are one of the major recipients of all this money. So this is a story we're going to revisit again and again as it works its way through back and forth through the courts.
Just one more note. Someone I know well who became a lawyer, did very well in college, went to a prominent university, or shall we say, it's a prominent university with an even more prominent basketball team. Mm-hmm. And he told me very matter-of-factly, oh, yeah, I used to take tests for name the star player. Used to take them for him. Used to take him for this guy, that guy. Everybody knew that was going on. Right. So, I mean, this is sort of unmasking it's starting to pull the veil off. They're not unmasked, but they're starting to pull the veil off, and it's gonna result, it seems to me, in a greatly changed equation in college athletics.
Hopefully, to the benefit of the people who are destroying their bodies in the name of same.